number 5. I don't think that 5th row should be completely updated just yet, but if doing so, that would be absolutely insane. But they had an absolute game number 1. Game number 2, we got to see them a little bit. And game number 3, definitely looking to continue on the success road. We're going to be hopping on with our champions from game number 2 with Team Lovely Low. I'm pretty sure that's who we're looking at. Yes, it is who we're looking at here to, you know, maybe, fight against a team that's looking to contest them.
Yeah, it sounds like they do indeed have pressure around them, and we get another flash up here of Lovely Low's scorecard. So, as you alluded to there, a great challenge for them to tick off next would be to knock one player by shooting them out of the air. So is that situation then where, as a squad, you start to bring in, for example, snipers? You try and pick out a player that's floating on over? Do you perhaps get lucky with a jailbreak that gives you plenty of opportunities to pick people out of the sky? Just to make it very clear to those of you who are tuning in or are in chat, in map 3 here, we're playing for the following challenges. Have one player possess 30 grand at any point, knock one player by shooting them out of the air, get a Warzone victory, which is essentially you can get at any point, but that's the right smack bang in the middle of this column, one knock with a vehicle in game 3, or get a knock with a launcher. And Lovely Low just found herself an RPG.
And, you know, leaving it to game number 3 is one of those things where, you know, vehicle knocks, they seem a little bit hard. You know, definitely a lot of people, you don't see it all the time, but we're always due for at least one in these tournaments. And a vehicle knock in game 3, I'm ready to see who's going to hop in and run somebody over through Urzikstan. But RPG one, that's gonna be fun. I think I was highlighting that at the start of this one, and you know, maybe it might be a little bit difficult to pinpoint these launchers and actually, you know, knock somebody with it, but right there we get a good example on how to use it here. But we're hopping on with Team All Gold Queen. Let's take a look at their bingo card to see how they've been doing inside of games 1 and games number 2 if we can, because we haven't really seen too much out of this team, at least on stream just yet.
Yeah, fun to come over to a squad that we haven't seen much of for sure. It's, again, like, we can talk about the stacked teams all we want, but there's going to be some sides that come out of nowhere to complete these challenges. It's one of the beauties of the format. So we are indeed on board with Dr. Good Vibes, what a wonderful name. Rashara, Red God Issues, and All Gold Queen. Fantastic set of names. And they picked up 2 or 3 challenges so far, starting to make a little bit of progress, but could do with a couple more here in map 3. And you were talking, by the way, when it came to vehicles. So that is something that we saw was very effective in Al Mazrah, but perhaps a bit more difficult in Urzikstan, considering that they, you know, as a player, you have more movement. And sorry, I was just trying to keep an eye. So for Team Moonride here, by the way, 30 grand in hand of one player. That is one of your boxes checked off.
It is absolutely a great start from them. As you saw their bingo card as well, Team Moonride, they got 3 challenges done, or 4 challenges done back in game number 2. Can we pull it back up one more time just to highlight and confirm that one, because I think it was around the 3 for sure. Yeah, 3 challenges done inside of game number 2. So that is a big accomplishment. If they can get the Warzone victory on top of that inside of this game, they are propelling themselves into a fantastic stance inside of this tournament.
So with that 30 grand, by the way, if they then go into game 4 and win 2 gulags, and then go into game 5 and have an average of top 15 placement across the 6 games, they have a bingo line. They're ticking off.
Yeah.
They might have well looked ahead and thought, well, we can definitely win 2 gulags, and we'd expect ourselves to average at least top 15. So what's the best one to tick off nice and early? 30 grand of cash, get it together, and jobs are good. And continuing to just focus on those challenges nice and early. And this seems to be the way the teams are going about it, right? Early on, what kind of challenges can we tick off? And then let's focus on our kills and our placements.
It's like a checklist of accomplishments that you want to have in each and every game, and you have to rate those accomplishments, and you know what's the easiest to do early, what do we got to focus on in the late game, because some of them are definitely not very easy to accomplish just as soon as you jump in. It looks like somebody's already driving a vehicle around. Team Apathy under a little bit of pressure here. Apathy going for the self-revive, not going to be allowed to do so, so he's going to be hopping into the gulag once again. Not sure who's inside of the driver's seat of that vehicle, but they haven't yet knocked somebody with it, so they're going to have to try to keep that vehicle alive and do it again.
Well, you can hear the screams coming on in, because not only do you want that vehicle so that you can get a knock with it, you don't want to be handing that to someone else. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, just to confirm, we do actually have our first bingo here in the tournament for 50,000. So remember, every team gets 1,000. The remaining 25 is split between everyone that gets a bingo. And we have our first. Team Selly will have that checked off in the bottom corner, by the way, because mathematically they cannot do worse than the average required. They already are averaging 8 squad elims across 6 games. That is a ridiculous performance.
That is insane. That is absolutely insane. So a bingo for Team Selly already accomplished. We looked at their bingo card earlier, and I thought, you know, maybe game number 2 didn't go so well, but, you know, it just looking for the updates to come in, and that is fantastic there. So really they're playing for, I guess, maybe spoiler, maybe just to complete the rest of the bingo card. Maybe they could be the only team to fill out every single spot on the bingo card. That would maybe be the next accomplishment.
That is a ridiculous performance this quickly. I mean, don't get me wrong, the format is extremely unique, right? So, but the thing is, one of the things to consider is that currently they have the essentially that bingo, but they don't want to then split any more of that prize pool if they can avoid it, right? So do they then, okay, well, other teams are going to have to play for challenges. What we're going to do is go around and be a nightmare to everyone else and stop everyone getting theirs done.
Yeah, so they have a really unique opportunity now heading into game number 3 as we're looking inside the gulags, and Destroy runs right through the smoke. Omen might not have been a little bit ready for that one, and a very dominant gulag there. Very surprising factor coming out, and Amen's going to have to be redeployed from the rest of his team. So looking over towards Team FIFA Kill, where Destroy just redeployed back in. 2 kills for what looks like FIFA Kill himself here. Scummin and Zlaner on inside of this team as well. You expect a fantastic performance, but how are they looking on their bingo card is what I am curious about. Their bingo card so far, game number 2, doesn't look to be updated, but maybe in the exact same situation as Team Selly, as they've been putting on quite the performance inside of game number 1 and game number 2, and they could already have the average in kills.
I mean, yeah, looks to be that way. When we saw that earlier, we thought that was perhaps a mistake, right? But, I mean, it turns out that these teams are putting up such numbers that we could never have expected. We are playing custom, so, you know, fair play to picking up the challenges and being like, okay, well, surely they're not going to get that many kills until later on. It looks like some squads are having a blast nice and early. FIFA Kill, though, is not. Rashara picks him up as he tries to fly in through the bathhouse.
Our admin was, you know, kind of brought it out. I guess we do have to mention it too, Enigma's. To get the average of kills, you have to play out all 6 games. So it's not like it's not one of those things where, you know, you can hypothetically just do the calculations early on in games 1 and 2, but you have to play out all 6 games to get that average towards the end. We are just speaking a little bit ahead of the curve right now for a lot of these ones, and it does look like FIFA Kill is going to find himself inside of the gulag. Sancho on the other side. Some early shots. His team in a little bit of trouble back in Urzikstan, and FIFA Kill won't be able to come back to save them.
I think Sancho is Sage. I'm not 100% sure. It's either a name I've not seen before, but I get a feeling that Sage recently changed his name. So maybe that's Sage. But if so, then that is a very, very difficult gulag to take. FIFA Kill. Those gulags, as we've said, you can sometimes come across really top players. If you lose to a player that you're perhaps thinking you're better than, it feels like a waste opportunity. But if that is actually Sage, then that is an all fair. And, well, actually, whoever this is directly in front of the Mexican squad that we spoke about earlier, they're going to get ripped to pieces. And that will be, I believe, Optic Diesel, right? Yeah, I think that's Optic Diesel getting absolutely pulled apart.
Yeah, Team May. Haven't seen too much of them on stream just yet, but we highlighted the potential for their dark horse inside of the tournament here to walk away with a bingo. The unique format of this tournament, allowing, you know, you don't need to get the kills, you don't need to get the wins, you just need to complete these challenges. And, you know, look at this. Taking a separate angle into the player on the roof. The Plemion should be able to rip them away. Airstrike on the building, but it looks like that member who's on the roof is already long gone, as another team is walking in on this one for a third party on the high ground. You gotta be careful. Who is that? That is Apathy to find the kill.
And actually, it ends up with Clamp getting shot from multiple different directions, so I'm a bit worried then for the rest of his teammates. It sounds like that they're going to be squeezed between a lot of people real soon. We should get to see the rest of that gunfight. Belk taking damage from somewhere. We're on board with Slack, who's looking to get nice and close and aggressive, and actually Belk will fall. So you got to be careful here. Do you have the numbers advantage, or is it back to a 3v3?
Well, Flush Belk's going to go down, so not able to make their situation a little bit better. He finds the trade, and Rated wins out on a fight of his own. He's going to be able to finish that kill onto Vita. So it does look like they should be able to get Clutch Belt back into this. They have enough money for the redeploy. And a very big third party coming out here from Team Apathy to just continue to add up to the kills for them inside of game number 3. You know, game 1, they went out pretty early. Game 2, we saw them moving towards the middle of the game, but we haven't seen a strong finish from this team. So right now, it seems like they're still struggling to clean up these fights. Very clean. They're making them very scrappy, and they're not really walking away with their full teams, but they need to start putting it together if they want to see themselves in the end game and potentially find themselves a Warzone victory.
Yeah, and the thing is, as they continue, they had a really bad map 1, and we have a middling map 2, but they were checking off a lot of the challenges en route. So if they do manage to get a Warzone victory, and you can see a squad like that managing to pick one up, then they open them up so many opportunities. But it is a big damage boss checkpoint, right? You got to get yourself a victory, which is so hard to do in a lobby of this quality. Moving on to a different team that we saw a little bit of earlier, actually. Sweets, Aydan, Adrian, and I believe Unrational are here as a foursome, marauding their way over through Lowtown, and this area is difficult to play in. They did have a UAV ping, I believe, but there's a counter put up over the top of the bathhouses.
Yeah, not able to pinpoint exactly who they're walking in towards. Aydan live pinging exactly where they need to watch out for, but Aydan gets sniped out of nowhere. Could be knocked down. They throw a smoke to res him back up. So now they need to look for a little bit of safety, as you do see Unrational is ahead of them inside of the broken buildings. Adrian's going to find a knock. Unrational, a second one, and some supporting fire to come out here. They see the snipe across. They should know that one player is disconnected, but Irrational's going to get caught by it. He has to be careful not to get fully knocked here. And look at these lovely shots coming out from Sweets at range to just back off that supporting player.
Yeah, the one problem for this team right now is that if they did have a very good map 1, picking up 4 out of the 5 challenges. However, in map 2, it looks like they didn't manage to achieve any, unless that hasn't been updated as of yet. But we are quite a ways through map 3, so there's every possibility that it wasn't. It was just a difficult map 2. And the problem that will then leave is if you get to map 6, you've got to designate 3 challenges to try and go out and complete. And well, you've left yourself open 5 in a row right there, potentially 4 if you manage to get the averages at least. So a lot of work potentially to do. They've got to have a good map here to give themselves as many options as possible throughout the back half of our tournament.
Well, high alert. Somebody's going to be spotting Sweets all the way on top of the crate, and shot's going to break the armor, but you look over towards Unrational and Aydan, who are hunting throughout this area. Somebody on top of the crates. The nade cooked, not going to land. Smokes to isolate these members across the way, and it is on the other side of the fence. You just look at Unrational is flying his way through this POI, and Aydan is going to take a separate look towards this one on the other side of the fence, but it doesn't look like he's able to get some safe shots out. They still need to look for a jump onto this team. Car's coming. Oh no, Aydan. Oh, and look at that's what you're talking about. The update in movement. Aydan just able to slide cancel his way around them.
Oh my lord, and then pulls a raise out of the vehicle as well. And yes, exactly. That is something that you would not necessarily been able to do in Al Mazrah. Maybe you do get away, but you certainly can't play it that way or you will get absolutely smushed. Instead, he's going to manage to pick up the kill, but has to back on down now. That vehicle was disabled, so it's not going to be of any use from this point on. Having to back on off, regroup with his team as, well, Array's teammates, you presume, were providing him a bit of damage over the back. And looks like they will get away from that situation nice and dandy. A squad that, as we spoke about earlier, need to see themselves in the later stages of a game.
Yep. And now team Becky Jew, who did make it into the final circle back in towards game number 2, but they were under so much pressure of lethals getting thrown at them onto the roof of one of their shopping centers that, you know, they weren't able to walk away with the win. But you look at their bingo card, and they already have a player who got $30,000 in game number 3. So that is going to be the first row checked off. Nice knock there as Becky Jew able to take down the first of the opponents that are walking into them. This is Team Lovely Low actually contesting them at this spot. That was for Jace to be the one to jump into the building, not expecting somebody to be waiting.
Well, actually, Jace gets interrogated, and I don't think his teammates are actually anywhere nearby. So I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe Jace just coming back in from a gulag and needed a recovery moment and perhaps just hit a building unsuspecting that there was going to be players waiting inside of it. Either way, didn't go well for Jace. And, well, Becky will just take inventory for now. essentially patrolling the edge of this circle, because teams are going to be pushed not only by the gas, but essentially up a hill. This entire region now is pretty disgusting to try and rotate on through. It's a lot of open ground, and you just need essentially to daisy chain the smokes to let you on through.
Yeah. So 5 seconds left as the circle is going to start closing. Still 15 teams alive, too. This is a very small circle. It's going to get chaotic. We look towards Demir, as they're just going to be sitting on the outside of the circle. They're on a more slower side, you know, a side that is a lot closer towards the circle, so it's going to take a little bit longer for them to be pushed in towards the safe zone, so they can take their time moving into it for sure. They have to be careful because they are very exposed on the right. Unfortunately, they're going to get observed as well, so now a team is going to know exactly where they're going to come from.
Yeah, and that spot will hang around for a little bit, but the reposition here might give them enough time to essentially escape that. Problem is, yeah, I was about to say, there's a tunnel right by you at this section. The difficult spot to kind of watch if you're then worried about snipers up above you. This is going to be a really tough rotation here for Diazbiffle. We look at their scorecard, by the way. Plenty of stuff ticked off in map 1 and map 2, and potential for others to come on through. For example, that bottom left corner of the bingo card. So if you continue to chip away at those challenges, maybe they've already had some in this game that haven't been updated just yet, there's opportunities for, again, another team to take a sharing of that $25,000 prize pool.
Yeah, because again, I mean, it's not like teams are going to be jumping into today Enigma and thinking, we need to be the first place team. We need to be the first one to get a bingo, or the second team to get a bingo, or the third team to get a bingo. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get a bingo. Everybody who has a bingo at the end of the day is going to have a share of that $25,000 split equally amongst all of our winners. So it is important to complete your challenges because you have that chance to be a winner at the end of it. So it looks like his team is actually kind of walking away with a couple of knocks there. Maybe somebody was actually inside of that tunnel and they were just gatekeeping them for sure.
And team comms come on through. There's a request for sniper ammo. Down goes the muni box. It will also allow players to stack up on smokes. Very useful for an area like this now where the circle is pulling, which, by the way, is a very nice pull for Diazbiffle and co, because it's going to force teams towards them and also out into the open. The problem that they were having before was essentially this cluster of buildings. And yeah, that is exactly the problem. Oh, I thought for a second he'd fallen somewhere, but I didn't realize there's a gap in the bottom of that. I've played this position so often, didn't realize that there was a hole there. Diazbiffle goes down, getting picked up by Braxton, potentially. Or is that Backer picking up Braxton? We're now on board with Dark, who has a lot of work to do, and this is that team that was in behind them.
Yeah. Fortunate situation, but the team white's going to come through. Big pickup here for Team Demir, but now to walk up to this building, you have to be careful if you're pocket gamers here because you don't want to lose your life. They only there's 2 players remaining. Castillo also going to be in the situation with you, but 9 kills alone on pocket gamers. So that is an excellent spot to be in when it comes down to at least putting on a good show for this game. But they are being gate kept at the top. Doesn't seem like the circle's going to be pulling towards the top of this hill. So they still have a chance to play this low ground and rotate with the cover of the terrain as well. So not too bad of a spot to be in, but we are down to 7 teams.
Well, so yeah, just biding their time. By the way, any squad that ended up positioning themselves earlier on down the bottom of this hill has been getting very lucky when it comes to circle pulls, because it's all come their way so far. And actually, there's someone already in the next circle, and that's actually going to be Saskia. Saskia and her squad. We haven't seen anything of them so far through this afternoon, but they are in a prime position. Teams are going to have to fly at them. Final 6 and only 14 total players remaining.
14 total players. As you know, somebody's going to be on the other side. That Rancho's not going to help you at all. Peachy is going to be eliminated. And that's going to bring us down to 5 teams here. Enigma, they know teams are going to be rotating into the circle. They have a fantastic spot with a natural cover. And that could have been the knockout for somebody in mid-air, but not able to secure that knock. Every team's able to drop on back down. 3 teams left. 8 players in the lobby. This is it.
Someone definitely got shot out of the sky there, by the way. You could see their body falling. So again, it's all about challenges. So that is another check on someone's bingo card right there. I do not believe it was going to be Saskia and co, who are now in a spot of bother. But Circle will pull their way again. The problem is there's a lot of artillery essentially coming their way, and Saskia will fall. Jama's going to try and get the res, but this is a very difficult spot as shifts fall further down the line.
Well, this is 4v1. This is Team Joewo on the other side. Looking to take the win, and they will. Warzone victory, as easy as that. Rotating in towards the circle, finishing off those players and throwing a barrage of lethals at them to make sure that they weren't able to recover and stabilize. So it's a big win to take inside of this game, and a very smooth finish to game 3.
And it's from a squad that you definitely would expect to be able to pick up a lot of the kills that we've been speaking about. So that'd be the 10 kills required per game to give you one set of diagonal bingo, or the average kills, the other set of diagonal bingo. So the fact that they've got that victory now opens up those options to them.